Anthropology is the doctrine of man. We were talking about the origin of the soul of man, talked much about creationism and traducianism. Now it's time for us to move further. What did we talk last time? Remember? The sin of man, yeah. Today we will talk about man's original state. Basically, we wanted to dwell upon the Imago Dei, the image of God in man. We all know that God made man in a unique way, unlike all the animals. The animals were brought into existence by the power of His word. But only for man, the triune God consulted each other, saying, "Let us make man in our image." There was much consultation. And then God also said, "Let us make man in our image, even in our likeness." So what this image and what this likeness are all about? Man was unique because man is a moral being. Animals are not moral creatures. Nowhere we ever see an animal arrested for unethical conduct. Whether it is, the cats drinking, stealing the milk of the little baby at home, or the dog snatching away something, or even for any other, immoral activities, because they don't have morality, they don't have any such values. But those who believe in evolution, they have a real problem, because how can amoral creatures immediately become moral creatures? Where did morality come from? They have only problems. How can something come out of nothing? That's impossibility. How can life come out of non-living things? Another major problem. How can higher forms come out of lower forms? And how can conscience, morality, God consciousness, such precious values come out of animals which have none of these things? How the consciousness of eternity, immortality come from animals progressing? They have none of these things. So there are many ethical, metaphysical problems that the evolutionists can never answer. They never even try to answer those things. They only concentrate upon the similarity in the forms. Yes, that's all what they say, similarity in the forms. So similarity in the form supposes that one evolved from other. Definitely. The small books and the big books in the library, they all have similarity. Therefore, it is natural for us to say that Encyclopedia Britannica or Americana evolved from the little books in the library. Or that the ship and the boat and the fish have similarity in form. So it's natural to think that the big ships evolved from the small fishes, or even the small boats. The small shoes and the big shoes in the shoe store, no one will say that because they have similarity in shape, it is evolved. That's nonsense. Nobody even think about it. But intelligent people argue on evolution because of shape. Of course they will say some similarity in some other features, but the fundamental differences are there. That cannot be explained. You want to buy a goat and you go to a market, animal market. Your purpose is to buy a goat or a cow. So there are all kinds of animals. There is buffalo there is cow there is a goat there. So the man who is selling the goat says, sir, you know, what's after all the differences? Both have 4 legs and a tail and a head, you know, 2 ears and 2 eyes. Both of them give milk and they all eat grass. So what's the difference? You buy a goat instead of a cow and take home. You don't pay money for similarities, you pay money for difference. You exactly pay money for differences. That's true. Similarities don't count a thing. You know, you want to marry a girl, 2 girls are there, they are very much alike, but you marry not for the similarity, you marry for the difference. So in the existence of man and animals, that's the same way. You know, difference is what counts. So when it comes to man, there is a whole bunch of differences. The little dog in my home has no morality, but even the little boy in my home has morality. Dogs never worship God, but human beings do. How primitive they are, you know. Even the cave dwellers, in the walls of their caves, they have some picture of expressing worship. You know, there are all kinds of differences. You can just only differences. So God created man uniquely, not like the animals. The creator is the same. The material is the same, because Bible says God created animals from the earth. Man was also created from the earth using the mud. Therefore, between man and animals there is a whole lot of similarity when the same matter is there, you know. Yes. Between dosha and idli there is a lot of similarity because you use the same mouth. Yes. But if you go and order for dosha, if idli is supplied, you will say definitely, no sir, I want dosha. You know, because you are asking for the differences, not for the similarity. God made man, it's altogether different. Altogether different. I mean, actually the similarities become insignificant in view of the differences. So why talk about similarities? Forget about it. Talk about differences. What makes man a man and what makes an animal are not the similarities but the differences. God made man unique. God created man holy. You know, there was no sin consciousness in man. Man was totally holy. Holiness comes in the order prior to sin. Yes, man must be holy before he could become a sinner. Yes. For a sinner to become a sinner, he has to do nothing. Yes. But for a holy person to continue in holiness, he has to do many things, right? Yes. For a sinner to become holy, a whole lot of work has to be done. God created man holy. Plato said the good may become bad, but the bad does not become bad. It is always bad. Yes. Now, when big people say that's small things, it means a lot. When small people say these big things, it doesn't mean anything. Because we are small people. Yes. So God created man after his image. The Westminster Catechism says, God created man after his own image in knowledge, righteousness and holiness. Probably that's a very apt statement to tell us what this image means. But saying that does not settle all issues. There is a lot to say about it. God said it is, let us make man in our image. So God created man in his own image. Genesis 1:26-27. God made man upright, but man has sought many inventions in Ecclesiastes 7:29. Man, upright does not mean this, stand straight. No, upright means morally upright. God did not make man a cunning creature, a straightforward man of integrity, Man meant what he said, and he said what he meant at creation. But now man means something when he says, and he says something else from what he means. Man is a sinner. The new man is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. Colossians 3:10 and Ephesians 4:24. Some people say that man was created innocent. You may have heard about the dispensation of innocence. What is that? I'm a dispensationalist, but I don't know what is the dispensation of innocence. You have to ask J.N. Darby and C.S. Scofield and some of those men, what is this? But God did not create man innocent. Innocence is the absence of goodness or evil, You cannot accuse a person of being good or bad. He is innocent, like a little child, has no consciousness of what is right and wrong. No, Adam was not created in a state where he didn't know what is good and bad, right and wrong. No, he knew. If he didn't know, how could God say that thou shalt not eat, you will die? Yeah. To a little child, you won't say that don't eat. You keep it away from the child, right? Because telling the child, a 2-month-old child or 3 or 5-month-old child, don't eat it, you will die. The child is not going to ask anything back. Going to put it in the mouth. So parents have to keep them away. But God doesn't have to keep those fruits away from man, because he was created with the knowledge, ability of discernment. So man was created not as a little something without any value system, no. In Hinduism they say that even God is Nirguna. But Nirguna does not mean that he has no attachment to good things or bad things. Nirguna nandu parayilla. You say somebody is Nirguna. No, God is not Nirguna. He hates evil. He loves goodness. How can he be Nirguna? So it's all the concept, it's all big concepts they perverted, when they say that thing. Holiness is more than innocence. Holiness is not innocence. Innocent people need not to be holy people. Holiness is a positive virtue. Innocence is a negative virtue. Holiness is a positive virtue. Holiness is something that man share with God, because we all say God is holy and man was created holy. That's why God could command man, be ye holy because I am holy. Something that was not created in holiness can never become holy. How much food you give, a calf cannot be grown as an elephant. No. A calf, when it grows, will be a cow or a bull, whatever it is, male or female, right? Only an elephant calf will be an elephant. Because to produce an elephant out of a little calf born to a cow, food will not do the job. No. So God has to create man so that even when he became sinner, God could command him, be holy. You are responsible. Because the original state in which I created you was holiness. I am not responsible for all your sinfulness. I have the right to command you to be holy. Just like the mother put on the little child, 5-year-old child, a nice frock, new, brand new. And mother told that don't soil it, don't make it bad. The child went out to play in the mud and came back as nasty as possible. The mother got little angry and said, go and get clean. I want that frock to be like a new one. That commandment is meaningless unless that frock could be made like new again, right? Yes. If the mother already gave a dirty one and then said, I want it to be clean like the new one. No. So God commands man to be holy because God created man to be holy. Yes. That's all included in that statement, make man in his image. So the statement by many people saying man was created in innocence, and the dispensation of innocence is the time when man maintained this innocence before he ate the fruit. No, there is no such period. There is no dispensation of innocence. So it is not sufficient to say he was created in a state of innocence. That would be true only if God created man without any moral disposition, either right or wrong. Man was made negatively innocent but positively holy. He was negatively innocent in the sense that he didn't know what was evil. So concerning evil he was innocent. Some good people say that boy, he is so naive concerning evil. He does not know what is cheating, what is murder, what is adultery and all those things. But he knows what is morality, ethics and family life and love and all those positive virtues. So God created man, positive concerning the good virtues, but innocent only towards the evil. New creation is a condition of restoration to the primitive state. We read in 2 Corinthians 5:17, if a man be in Christ, he is a new creation. The new creation assumes an old creation, something that was lost from it. Yes. So God recreates or restores that which he had. So Ephesians 24 clearly says, he is renewed, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. What is righteousness? Righteousness is the state of being right, always. So what is right? Measured by the standard God set, he comes out correct. That's what right is. God has set a standard. He himself is a standard. So measured by that standard, man comes out right, said it right. He is righteous. God wants us always to be righteous and always to be holy. Are they very difficult? It's difficult for us because we are contaminated. It's not difficult for somebody who is not contaminated. The way Adam was created, he was created holy, righteous, and therefore, God doesn't have to command him to be holy because he was holy. He was only commanded, make sure you don't die by eating that forbidden fruit. Yes. So God created man in holiness, righteousness and knowledge. Con-creation of holiness. Is totally denied by Pelagius. Pelagius was a man. Some of you by now know who is Pelagius because I have mentioned his name many times. He is a man who says that man was created neither innocent nor sinner. He was neutral. Every child is born neutral. He is neither a sinner nor a righteous person. You become a sinner if you do sin. If you don't do any sin, then you are neither righteous nor sinner. You could be called a neutral man. Yes. The neutral man who hasn't done any goodness nor any bad. Yes. Yeah. The Italian poet, what was his name? The hounding dog, what is his name? Oh. Who? Famous name. Francis. Who?
Francis.
No, Francis is not Italian. By the name itself, he's not an Italian, cannot be. It will be Francisco or something. Every country and every it's ending for names. Yeah. Yes. Oh, his name is very famous man, the hounding dog, Anyway, he in his drama has, the angel Raphael was taking him around heaven was showing, and he has taken on the right side and shown these are all righteous people, their rooms are there, they have done many good things. Then he has taken him to the left side and they said, these are all bad people, so God has put them in hell. This is hell. Then in between where the two join, there is a bunch of innocent children, people. And he said, these are the people who have not done evil or good, so God does not know where to put them. So there, well, man is not created in that state where God does not know where to put him. No, he was created holy, and amazingly, he was created holy. But man has become a sinner. So Pelagius denied that man was created in holiness or righteousness or knowledge. He said there is no con-creation of holiness, con means with, There is no holiness created with man. No, totally denied. He taught that the will of man at creation was void of any virtue or character. Adam's first act was to originate holiness or sinfulness. And Adam did the wrong, so sinfulness was originated. Well, that's true. God did not create sinfulness because sinfulness need not to be created. It's the absence of, yes. You don't have to create darkness. It's the absence of light. God only create light. God doesn't have to create darkness. The absence of light is darkness. Yes. Then came Semi-Pelagianism, who teaches that the same thing Pelagius taught, though they admitted that posterity is born with a vitiated physical nature. Pelagius denied that every child is born neutral. But Semi-Pelagians say that no, child is not born neutral. Child is born with a sinful disposition, So far as the rational and voluntary nature of man is concerned, the Semi-Pelagius asserts that holiness, like sin, must be self-originated by each individual. The Tridentine anthropology. Tridentine means the Roman Catholic Church had a council at a place called Trent in 1545 to 1563, where they have formulated some of their doctrines. So at Trent they said that the original creation of man was without either holiness or sin. So they came very close to Pelagius. See that? The Roman Catholic theology is Tridentine theology. They say that man was created without character and a second supernatural act bestowed upon man with holiness. But original creation, nothing. Holiness was something supernatural and not part of original creation. According to the Tridentine theory, creation was imperfect. Imperfect, and the improvement is an afterthought. Means God first made with that mud and all that, made and gave life, and it was a creature who had no goodness, no badness, nothing, just a neutral. Then God waited for a while and said, what to do with this? Look. He is neither good nor bad. He doesn't smile at me or frown at me. What should I do? Then at the second thought, God said, okay, I'll give you some holiness and righteousness. So holiness and righteousness are not inherent virtues of man. It is an afterthought of God, an afterthought of God. Well, big people can say some foolish things. I don't know they are big or small, but they are big in the world, yes. No, holiness was not the afterthought of God. Because we don't have the Bible saying that God as an afterthought did something for man. No, he didn't. He didn't. Holiness was something that is, con-created. Righteousness and true knowledge were all con-created. Means the very act of creation contained them because man was created in the image of God. Con-created. The evidence is Adam was able to relate with God. God came down in the cool of the day, walked with and talked with Adam. And what the Bible says in other parts about image. That's the crux. We're coming to that one. When Bible speaks about holiness, the image and likeness, what does it mean? It's talking about a neutral something, or is it talking about a positive something? That we can very clearly say that it is talking about something. To answer it immediately, I will say that, okay, man is created in the image of God. If the image is neutral, then the real will be neutral. So then God cannot be holy. Right? I stand before a mirror and I look at the mirror and see my image. And the image has, no nose, no ears, nothing. Then you must say that the real must not have. So that's an immediate answer, that one, say that whatever was in the real, it had a reflection in man. An image cannot be as real as the real. You stand in before a mirror and you see your image. That image cannot be the real you, but it must have some essential reflection on it. Then only it can be an image. You stand in the mirror and you see a dog there. And you won't say, the man, what an image. No, you don't say that. See, if there is a dog, there must be a dog somewhere standing behind you or something, or maybe that mirror is not reflecting anything, it has a painted dog in it. Some reason there. So, how do we know man was created? Because he was created in the image of God. God is described in the Bible as righteous God, holy God, omniscient or all-knowing God. Therefore, man must have a reflection of it. God's holiness is uncreated, man's holiness is created. God's righteousness is uncreated, self-possessed. Man's righteousness is created, but still it is righteousness. Man has all knowledge. God has all knowledge, but man has knowledge, For these virtues to be virtue, it has to be analogous. You know what analogous? You are also students of science. You know what analogous is. So if these virtues are not analogous, that means that there is some absolute behind it, then it cannot be. When you say now it is time, 10:45, what do you mean by that? If you only mean that in your clock it is 4:45 because you turned it, then that's where you put it there for. That is no valid. When we say it is 10:45, we mean that somewhere there in the world there is a clock in which it is 10:45. If that clock says it's 11 o'clock and your clock says it is 10:45, then your clock is not right because it is not analogous to the other one. Yes.
So, Uncle, can we say that science is saying that man came from monkey? So, if that theory can we conclude that there is wrong?
What you will conclude? Man came from monkey, you will conclude?
Science, because we can say that our image is something like this, because virtue is righteousness is something that the property.
Yes. We definitely will say that man cannot come from monkey because, as I said in the beginning, the essential virtues of the man is not found in any animal, including not only the monkey, the most advanced, Homo sapien, whatever you want to call them, most advanced creature. No. Because there is no animal that has morality, ethics, spirituality, God consciousness, even a conscience. The the personality, for example, they don't have knowledge. No animal has knowledge. People say animal have knowledge, but which animal? Bring it. I'll give him a simple maths, 2 plus 2. Now, elementary maths, addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, right? That's arithmetic. Will the monkey do it? No, it won't do it. They don't have feelings either. Did any animal ever celebrated the birthday of its mother? Or the death anniversary? It doesn't have willpower either. Can a cow eat fish because grass is now out of question? A vegetarian can become a non-vegetarian if he has a will. He could say that from today on I am not going to eat any vegetarian